am Ayushi Dholakia and your host for this morning, and we are here at the Mumbai International Film Festival for a one-of-a-kind session that will traverse the expansive world of cinematography. We extend our gratitude to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the National Film Development Corporation, and the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute, Kolkata. Beyond Boundaries is a masterclass as well as an in-conversation session that will revolve around cinematography and exploring its innovative techniques and narrative strategies, which offers invaluable learnings to create visually stunning, impactful films inspired by the works of award-winning masters. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming with a big round of applause Mr. R.V. Ramani sir, a national award-winning documentary filmmaker and a cinematographer whose work has transcended boundaries and inspired many. Along with him, we also have Mr. Sunny Joseph sir, an eminent cinematographer whose practice spans across India, bringing stories to life through his lens. I would also like to request Mr. D. Ramakrishnan sir, General Manager, National Film Development Corporation, to felicitate our guests. Thank you, Ramakrishnan sir. With regards to the question answers, we will take your questions at the end, so audience be ready, and till then hold on to your questions. May I now hand over to Mr. Sunny Joseph sir to commence today's insightful conversation with Ramani sir.
A very good morning, and of course, I always say this, I'm more comfortable standing behind a camera and smaller groups than in a large group and facing up front like this. Anyway, sometimes we'll have to face this. And today I am very happy to be here along with my dear friend Ramani, and to talk about cinematography, both in documentary films and fiction, and also to discuss a path which both of us have tread so far, and the plus points and some negative points we encountered in the thing. I'm talking about myself. And it's so nice, and thank to NFDC and all the people here. I am very happy indeed to be among you. And when I think about my journey, my first memories, my story is almost like a cinema paradiso. It was, as a young boy, when I was in 7th, 8th standard, I started encountering the cinema theater opposite to my father's medical shop. And then at the pre-degree time, I became a projectionist just to see the films. And then from there, I went to the Pune Film Institute, and then all these stories. Anyway, we will, maybe there will be a time to talk about it. I don't keep much time now, but I was lucky in a way that these are the times of selfies. So I may have to say this. I'm very proud that I worked in 12 Indian languages, and in 12 states I have worked, and that I think is one of my finest achievement. And my friend Ramani, we were all together at the institute, and Ramani, no, I remember as a very calm, composed person as he is all the time, and with a little smile. And we all, after graduating from institute, there were a lot of ideas, but things don't turn up that way. And we all develop our own paths. And Ramani was audaciously, very consistently following a certain path of search, his own search of the truth. And he uses his camera to reach where he is. And I have found in his films, whichever films I could watch, one thing I observed was that he makes the films which he really want to encounter. It is not because of any fashion. Oh, we will, like festivals or any such ideas, Okay, this year, this is a current event, so we will make a film about that. He doesn't make films like that. It is from his heart. And I was telling yesterday to him that Ramani has a freedom in his frames, because when I put a camera in a documentary or a fiction film, I am kind of weighed down by the ideological directions which is which I try to comprehend and convey through the things, and so I might be getting a one way, limited point of view in my frame. But Ramani has total freedom in placing his camera, and that I envy him for that. And I have seen in his films that it freely moves, or when he wants to stay, if the camera stays there, in front of the camera, things will happen. He don't mind it. And these are some few observations about my friend, and his films like My Camera and Tsunami, or the film on Mrinal Sen, he made it. And he also always, whether in his still photography and videography also, he extremely like to photograph candidly, and that is something, to get into the scene without disturbing others and be there as a witness, respecting the space. That is something very unique. I know you need, all filmmakers need to get that idea that you should respect your environment wherever you are shooting, whether it is a documentary or fiction film. This I actually learned from my cinematic guru, G. Aravindan. We call him Aravindan. And yes, and I hand it over to Ramani to say his introductory words.
Yeah, thanks, Sunny, for your kind words. You said a lot of things about me, but I'm not going to say too many things about him. In fact, last lessons yesterday, we were trying to figure out how to conduct these sessions, and it is like a documentary where finally we'll say, let's see in the location. So that's how we are here. You know, very rarely I meet cinematographers in their home actually nowadays. Most of the time we meet other colleagues and cinematographers in sessions like this or other kinds of areas, where social areas or something like that. Very rarely I actually met. In fact, the only time I visited a cinematographer house to meet a cinematographer is Sunny. And that's happened very recently in Kottayam, where he stays, a few months back when I was conducting a workshop at K.R. Narayanan Institute. And since he's nearby, I went to his house. And I felt so lovely meeting him in his house. Just he has an independent house and his mother stays with him. And I actually wanted to bring one small element which I couldn't do it in the last minute. His mother gifted me a kind of work of art, which is stitching. You know, she does a lot of this stitching. Is it a word, stitching?
This cross stitching.
Cross stitching, and it's kind of specialized skill. She made a small. She had done a lot of them, and she gave me one, and then I was so moved getting it. And I thought I would get it here today.
93 and doing it even now.
Yeah. So I thought I was getting it here today because it was special, because I'm meeting him Sunny again in this kind of platform, which is also very unique for me. I mean, I've seen Sunny's diploma film in FTI when he was there, and I was also there. And I've seen him as a person, and I've had always felt he's a very, very intense kind of person with some kind of thing that's working in his head which he wants to bring into the narratives. And I've seen his works, not all of them. Of course, Piravi is one of the major work that he has done with Shaji, who is also a legendary cinematographer. I am also a huge admirer of his. And I'm always very curious to discuss this combination of two cinematographers, how they work together. So that one, and then I've seen his other works in Bengali films, and also Chandran's works and TV. Yeah, I've been catching up with his works, and recently Sunny has also made a film of his own that finally he wanted to do with his own ideas and principles and thing that you want to engage with. In my situation, like ever since I started as a cinematographer, it actually started with a need to come up with a certain language, because one has been exposed to working on many kind of films, and even before Film Institute, I was a professional photographer. So when I started watching many films which wants to convey a certain message or do good kind of film, where you are taking up a case of, say, a situation where things are being exploited, and you are taking a stance against that, and then you want to work on that. The films might be very interesting, very, very interesting structure and all that, but I always felt that the look of the film is actually the antidote. Meaning it works in reverse. The overall look of the film. It is not doing what it is supposed to be doing. The filmmakers must be like excellent filmmakers, excellent human beings, great friends of mine. But what essentially happened in the film is that you create cliches furthermore, make the bad more bad and the good more good. That's that kind of cliche getting more cliched, and so I was very concerned with that, and I felt that how do you reach a certain kind of imagery which is affectionate and kind of engaging with people, or whatever you are concerned with. Suppose I'm concerned with somebody's sorrows. How do you look at that person in the way you film and in your correct narrative structure of your film? What kind of look is that? And that is what I've been actually being preoccupied right from the start. And in different situations, this has been the challenging moment. It's not that you know a formula and to do it. It is never a formula. It is always that you want to do it, but it never works all the time. Sometimes it works like magic. And but the notion is that how do you engage with characters, which is sympathetic, not sympathetic, empathetic, but relationship-wise, or certain kind of a look which has a certain kind of tenderness towards your character, which brings them to a different possibilities of life, hope. How do you do that? And how to be honest in your way of looking? I mean, these are the areas where one has been thinking. I would think of maybe one of the films in that category would be a film called Children of Mini Japan, which I made in around 1990s. I was a cinematographer for a film called Children of Mini Japan, Kutti Japan in Kurandaigal, it's called, where the film is about children who are trapped in the Shivakasi match industry. They are exploited, they are going through a tough time, and the film is supposed to be the kind of activist film where you're pointing out that this is happening and it is not right, and then the film is going to create a solution for that. So that was the thing, and Chalam Benurkar was the director who was doing the film. And when we reached the location and we saw the situation, and then we found that we are not going to be allowed to shoot at all. So it has to be guerrilla kind of a filmmaking, if at all, if we need footages. So we worked out a plan, and since this thing about that a victim would, or we could not make a victim more a victim in the narrative as a principle that I was trying to follow. We discussed about it, and the children, how do you film the children in a situation like this? First of all, you don't have an access, and if you do get an access, if you do manage to get in, how do you film? So I was suggesting that whatever time we get to do with filming, I'm going to really be nice and restful with them. No hurry, no kind of, I'm not going to see them as victims. I'm going to relate with them as children. I'm going to enjoy their presence. I'm going to find a lens that can be correct to film with them. I'm going to find a place, the height of the camera, all those things I'm going to look for in terms of arriving at that possibility. And that's how we filmed. And Chalam said, of course, do it, go do whatever you want to. And we get hardly 5 minutes, 10 minutes access to any of those places. And then we were filming in 16mm camera. There was a crew of 5 of us who will quickly sneak in before anybody gets to know, film and come out. And I take this position, every time I film people, I take this position that this is the way I want to film. And so what happens is, you are making a film on exploitation or on people, and you are filming differently. You are filming as a narrative of engagement, of just enjoying being with them and watching what they're doing. And that kind of intimacy, intimacy is the word. That kind of intimacy I was trying to seek all the time, and I found it. And what happens in the film is that there are 2 levels. One is an activism that is going to say this is wrong, this is wrong. Another is this kind of a narrative where something else is coming out, and it creates a strange kind of a turbulence in the narrative. And it was a huge success. This film was a very big success at the time. And that continues. I mean, it's not as I said, there's no formula to it. Every time I had to find out, every time I had to find a different lens for that. Every time I had to find a different sitting position or a standing position or an angle or whatever. I would keep on discovering that, and so I will show you actually we are not sure how to do this clipping presentation of clip. Is it possible to show it now? The clip number 1, okay. Just present that only. There's a small clip, I'm going to show that. It's a bad print, do that.
probably when Ramani was talking about creating that empathy for the subject in the scene, and how to build that in the location where you are staying. This is very important. That which I also say to my people, fellow beings, and peer group, that unless you relate to your characters and your environment with a certain empathy yourself, that will never come through the film. So in a sense that one of the films which I shot was also, this was a major issue with the director, meaning between director and myself. This is Leena Manimegale's Devadagal. She was talking about 3 women characters where they were doing usual men's job, which they are not supposed to do, but against all odds, these 3 women were doing these jobs and fighting with the society to achieve their daily life. So the beginning of the film, then during the script discussion, I discussed with Leena and said that you see that there's exactly what you were telling. There is a life of our characters. We are not going to disturb that. Let us be followers of their life, and without too much interfering into what is happening. So I told her, give me a camera, a smaller, lighter camera. I will be as much as invisible, which I could do, and I will follow these characters wherever they are moving. So in fact, within 6 days of the shoot, we had almost 48 hours of footage and rushes, and they had to take 1 year to finally edit it and make it into a film. This film, I suppose it won a prize in the MIF itself, the Grand Prix in MIF. Probably I can just show that one small clip from Devadagal. I am also very sorry, the material which is available to us is not 2K, 4K. These are all grabs from the CDs and DVDs which is available. So bear that factor in mind. And then I said, no, let us not lock the camera anywhere. I will follow them. Not that the characters has to get instructed and be someplace, but I will follow them and just observe their daily life. So Devadagal, goddesses, one clip.
சரி, என்னை விட்டு குழந்தை எடுத்து போறேன், எனக்கு ரொம்ப நல்லதானே. சரி, நான் ஒரு காய வைப்பேன், கண்ணி வைப்பேன். அதனால வந்து கேட்டா காய்கறியும் மாட்டுக்கறி வந்து ஒரு 50 கிலோ மாட்டுக்கறி அடுத்தவனுக்கு இந்த ஜென்மத்தை வித்து பழிக்க கூடாது. அதனால கறி வித்து கூட பழிக்கலாம் அப்படின்றத வச்சு அந்த கறியை வெட்டி அந்த மாட்டுக்கறி தலை மேல தூக்கிக்கின்னு ஒரு 50 ஊருக்கு மேல 50 கேஜி கறி ஒரு ஊர்ல ஒரு 2 கிலோ தான், ஒரு 3 கிலோ தான் வாங்குவாங்க. அதுக்கான நான் வாங்க மாட்டாங்க. அது கையில காசு கொடுக்குறவங்களுக்கு தான் நான் பணம் கொடுப்பேன். அப்படியே வந்து ஒரு மரத்தாண்ட அந்த கறியை தூக்கி இந்த 50 கிலோ கறியை தூக்கி தலை மேல வச்சுக்கின்னு நான் அழுதுகினே போவேன். கோத்தானா கொம்மானா என்ன கோடினா கோத்தா விடு, நான் பிள்ளைய பேசுக்க இது கொடுத்த பூமா நானே, எங்க வீட்டுக்காரன் மையாலுமே சும்மா நானே, நான் தனியா போட்டு சம்பளம் வச்சு சோத்த வச்சு தட்டுல கொட்ட புழுவோம் நானே, நான் சாத்த ஊத்தி தட்டுல வச்சு சாந்தே நானே, என்ன மையாலுமே என் பொண்டாட்டி சும்மா நானே, அடி வெங்காயம் சிங்காயம் வெள்ளி தீருவானே, என்ன வாடினா கோடினா என்ன வெள்ளாலே ஓயினா, என்ன கோத்தானா கொம்மானா என்ன கோடினா கோத்த விடு.
ஒரு ஆம்பளைக்கு முடியல, அந்த ஆம்பளைக்கு முடியும்னா நம்ம போய் உழைச்சா தானே சாப்பிட முடியும். கடலுக்குன்னு போகும்போது பெண்ணாவே நாங்கள் போக மாட்டோம். நம்ம ஒரு ஆம்பளை பையன் மாதிரி தான் நாங்கள் கடலுக்கே போகிறது. ஆம்பளை மாதிரி போனோம்னா நம்ம ஏதோ ஒரு மீனை பிடிக்கலாம், நண்டை பிடிக்கலாம், இறாலை பிடிக்கலாம், அதிலிருந்து சாப்பிடலாம் அப்படின்னு போகிற நேரத்தில் கையவும் கடிச்சு போகிறோம், காலையும் கடிச்சு போகிறோம், திருக்கையும் குத்தி போகிறோம். திருக்கை குத்துச்சுன்னா 3 நாளைக்கு கெடுக்கும். ஆஸ்பத்திரி போனால் 3 நாளைக்கு கெடுக்கும். அதுக்கு 1 வருஷம் வைத்தியம் பார்க்கணும். அப்படியா உள்ள சாவுலாம் இருக்குது. அதையெல்லாம் மறந்து உங்களை உயிரையெல்லாம் வெறுத்து வேண்டான்னு சொல்லி தூக்கி போட்டுட்டு தான் கடலுக்கு போகிறோம். கடலுக்கு போயிட்டு கரையை வந்ததுக்கு பிறகு தான் எங்கள் உயிர் எங்கிட்ட வரும். வந்து கேட்ட என்னடியோ ஓவேலையா பட்டாங்கி குத்துங்காலியா வாட மருதையா ஓவேலையா தேசம் போட்ட வண்டியில தேர்மவலி அடிச்சு போட போறேன். தேர்மவலி இலே 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 அப்புறம் உங்க பாட்டு தீத்தக்காரைய வச்சா அம்பி திருநாளே முன்ன வச்சா ஓவேலையா கொட்டாங்கி குத்துங்காலியா கூடாதேதாயாரே ஓவேலையா ஓவேலையா கடலு மேதல் நீருக்கு கடலிலே நான் இருப்பேன் ஓவேலையா.
போலீஸ்காரங்க வந்து முத்தால்பட்டை, ஓத்தியஞ்சாலை, பெரியகடை, கோட்டைக்குப்பம், தமிழ்நாடு நல்ல இது காலாக்குட்டு எல்லாம் தமிழ்நாடு டீச்சராக வருவாங்க. நம்மகிட்ட கோர்வோடு இந்த பக்கம் எங்கள் தவளைக்குப்பம் எல்லாம் போலீஸ்காரன் நம்மளுக்கு.
So actually the new technologies and the newer cameras with their lightweight effect and one thing when the digital video camera came in, one thing which happened is that the film cameras were always anchored in the eye. You couldn't take the eye out of the camera and move it. You had to be always anchored to the eye. But with these digital cameras, it was also easily possible that you could release the anchoring point from the eye and take it into any sides of your body and move it forward, backward, or any way you want. And it has become arm anchored, instead of eye, and that kind of changed a lot of possibilities in approaching the characters, and that gave us some more freedom in doing this. Talking about the freedom, when I do a documentary film other than the fiction film, I feel that I am much more lightweight and more free to kind of approach the screenplay, and though it is only a rudiment ideas which most probably in a documentary, and which I kind of like more than what is in fiction. Yeah.
Now that you brought the element of fiction, I was thinking of how I work with fiction. I always claim all my films are fiction, but made as documentaries. The element of fiction comes in the way you choose your angle, you choose your cuts, you choose your lights, you choose where to shoot. everywhere is element of fiction, slowly. And this is the kind of perspective that you're already all the time building up, and you are making a narrative. In fact, I remember one of the first lines I wrote in a book that was presented to me by a partner. The first line after Institute. The first line I wrote was that is how to make a film, no, how to tell a story without telling a story. So, which basically means that stories are largely literature based. We follow that very much in many of the works. Even now, when I see other films today, yesterday I also saw a film, very much literature-based documentary. So when you are relying on one aspect of literature, which is from literature-based fiction, you apply it into other kinds of forms like cinema and all this. Then one of the best moments in my life is engaging with artists, people who are working with paintings and sculptures, mixed media, alternate medias and all that. So I became very involved with that kind of a group, and then that's when I discovered that a line is experimented, just a line is experimented, and the level of experiments that happens in the artist field, as filmmakers, I think we are very, very low in terms of scale. The experimentation that we are trying in our narratives are abysmal, I would say. We are concerned only with how to make an impactful story, and to whatever to do that. But the making of the story itself, how you think about making a story, is not even looked at. I always experience fiction in many of my shot taking. Even that first clip I showed you, that filming of those kids, for me, it gives a certain kind of eye of something you created of something, that it's not just a recording, it's not just looking at them, it's not at all looking at them, it's not at all documenting, it's not that, but it is engaging and creating a new form of a visual vocabulary, which surprises me sometimes also. Now, I want to show you one more clip, which is a film called A School of My Own. It is directed by Gargi Sen, good friend of mine, and all the directors I work with are all good friends of mine. So it is it's a beginning scene, right? Actually, the beginning scene. See what happens in this. I'm talking about fiction. No, I'm saying that a shot like this, it's fiction for me, but it's shot on the go, and this girl is going. But the shot taking is conceived at that point of time, and it creates a certain kind of energy, within the shot, and to the girl, and to the character, of course, and to the narrative. And I'm saying that this is how I see fiction, there's moments like this where some magic happens, where it goes slightly beyond what you intend and what you discover. And those kind of, this film is full of those kind of moments where you arrive at those possibilities of a characterization, this girl here. So I always love this shot because the way she looks across the lens and looks like this. And very few actors can cross the lens, in today also. Even after much training, they can't cross the lens, look-wise. And she crosses the lens and looks. So I'm saying moments like this are quite crazy, and I would like to just continue with one more one, where this is another, can I continue? One more, clip number 3, where we are meeting a lady who is a potter, who is circumvented the notion of taboos, where women are not supposed to use wheels in pottery, traditional pottery. So this is a woman from Manipur. We are filming with her, and she has found her own way of circumventing or bypassing the idea of what the tradition imposes on the woman. She kind of crosses it in a certain way. And this is a small scene from that. And this is directed by Rajula Shah, who is also a good friend of mine, wonderful filmmaker. So you can see this.
Kamu umur berapa? खूब बना हुआ था। कोई भी नहीं हुआ। एक दिन में इसके सुबह में 12 बना हुआ। 12। कुछ बचा था। अदब देखो। ये जैसे है। Democracy amat terlalu nurut apa je dia, kena betul. Wah. 그치? 한번 더 하자. थोड़ा चुका चुका के बाद हम फिर चलाएगा अरे इसको सुंदर बनाएगा हम कभी हमारे सोने के बाद में देखा है कोई चीज इसी उतरे का बनाएगा
एकदम सही बात एक जैसा है इसका क्या बनेगा
ऐसा ही हो ना ऐसा ही हो
So this moment, that you discovered on the spot that one can take a shot like this. It is not scripted, it is not planned, nothing like that. It is you discover it on the process, and then you find that that is correct. So what she is doing as a kind of a revolution that she moves around the pot, not the wheel. So that becomes the discovery of a shot for me also. And moments like this also becomes fiction for me. You know, yeah.
I may add to what Remini said now, because I was just again talking to Remini in the morning. Then, whenever I did a documentary with with subjects talking the language which I can understand, it seemed to be more easy to connect, because I could like a pre-visualize how this is going to end. If they are singing, how the rhythm and how they are going to end, so I can come back to a longer shot, or when there is some action, I can follow their movements and the rhythm and the emotion which is in it, which is easier for me to do it in when I know the language, whether it is Malayalam, Tamil, or even I did one long documentary in Telugu, which was little difficult, because I couldn't catch the full Telugu thing. But coming to narrative itself, I really believe now, by now I really believe that the original idea of the narrative is much more important today in our times. Because I think even from the cave paintings or from the early enactment of hunting and all that, that was to create a group of unity, a unity within the group, and as also to tell the group that there is this oneness among us, and to create that oneness. Probably the early storytellings were utilized, and maybe and I think that idea of oneness and empathy, in one of our spiritual social reformer and spiritual guru, Narayana Guru, once says that in his writing, he says that Arulullavanana Jeevi. In another line, he says Snehikkunnavan Jeevikkunnu. So in both together, it means that the one who loves lives. So it is a definition of a living being. Without love, you are not even alive. So how you can convey all when you started your talk in this session, it was guiding to that, how you connect with the other and convey this oneness. And obviously, I was greatly fortunate to have three gurus, like Guru Nitya and Guru then Arvindetan, and in my spiritual search it was Guru Nitya, Chaitanya Yedi, Nitya Chaitanya Yedi, and great Subrado Dada. So of course, when I started practicing cinematography, of course I had Shai Chetan, Venu, Madhu Ambat as my teachers, and I learned a lot from them too. And I, in a way, eventually, at some time I kind of defined cinema as love 24 times per second. Of course, I remember Godard's Truth 24 times per second. With remembering that only, I have made a presentation in Calicut University Philosophy Department, where I kind of proposed that cinema is love 24 times per second, which is it is a mirror. All films, whether it is documentaries or fiction, it's a mirror of love, which reflects a certain kind of inadequacies and certain kind of needs to be there in the society. And probably, in one of my breakthrough films and one of the most path-breaking films for Malayalam cinema and for myself was Piravi, and this is a old DVD copy without any English subtitle, but I think some of the portions of the beginning of the film, I have taken 2 parts from it, and the credit titles I have just cut it out because we are, we'll have limited time. and Shai Chetan should forgive me if it is not that fine. This is the only thing which was available, so I tried to make it a little better, but let us see.
When I went to Sunny's house that day, he was doing this work. What you're doing is that I'm correcting the doing color corrections and trying to see if we can find better print. Yeah.
Yeah, Ravi, please.
എന്താ മാരാരെ വായനശാല നേരത്തെ പൂട്ടിയോ?
കാറ്റടിച്ചാനകത്ത് ആകെ ആശായി.
താക്കര പോവാ അല്ലേ?
അതെ.
ഞാൻ കവല വരെ പോവാ.
എന്താ കവല വരെ?
ബസ് ഇന്ന് വൈകുന്നാ തോന്നണ.
അത് കൃത്യം 7:10 കടവലെത്തും.
ഇന്ന് രഘു വരും. ഇന്നത്തെ ഒടുക്കത്തെ ബസ്സിന് എത്തുന്ന അവന്റെ കത്ത്.
മഴ വന്നില്ലല്ലോ. കുറെ കൂടി അസുഖനായിട്ട് വരുവാടോ.
okay, you can close there. So this film is also a film which I worked with a lot of freedom. Freedom in the sense, mostly the exterior shots were almost available light, and there was no compulsions of how to do the lighting. And obviously, when I worked with Shai Chetan and also with Venu later, his first film also I photographed, I had this extra advantage that I could experiment in my lighting or my exposures, because if I could go wrong, there are Shai Chetan and Venu who could correct me on set, and if needed, that could be corrected. So these two, obviously in my career, apart from the other films which I did, these two films stands separate for me and in my work also. And thanks to Shai Chetan, that was one of the stepping stone from where I could move on. And here also the actors and the environment which we interact and feel the pulse of those rains, and this was all on the go. We would stand there, we will hear the rain coming, and then get ready for those rain shots, natural rains, which was shot like that. Yes, there will be a lot to talk, and probably you can, continue with your talk, and there will be some time for question and answers.
It's almost like becoming like a Jugalbandi. Now, after seeing this work of his, I feel like changing my plan a little bit. And I'm going to present one excerpts from a film called Face Like a Man. Who is that? Yeah, I think it is 6. Yeah. Just a minute. Yeah, basically, this is a film with a group of artists who are in a camp, and they're all painters. And the making of the film is an half-an-hour film. The making of the film started when I just visited the camp. When one day I was told that it's happening, and then I was invited and I went, and there was this German painter who was working. And I saw her first, it's a kind of an open area with people are given sheds and places to work. And I saw her from the distance that she was doing something. There was a canvas there, and she had her material here, that distance. And she was doing something, and then she went fast towards it, almost like running, but not fast walking. And then she will hit that canvas with tremendous force, and that something will splatter there. And then she was actually using a paper with paint and working on it and then doing it. So that continued, and I was stunned just looking at her. And usually, I couldn't even take a further step. To that extent, that energy system that she created there was so big that I could not enter that field. I had to stay out from a very far. I was actually from distance to the other wall, maybe. Okay, that distance I was watching it. And I said, wow, what an energy this is. Where is it coming from? And what is she doing? What is it? Is it violence or something else? And then, and strangely, I felt like one should work like this, and sometimes certain emotion or mood that you are in can also create certain kind of work, which artists do. They do it so much with freedom, like what she's doing now. I thought I will come and film. So next day I organized a Betacam camera, and all those people came, 2 people came and all that. And I came, and then went to the same place. There were other artists also, but I thought I'll start with her. And she said, I already finished the painting. And that's it. And then all I could see was a finished painting. But the film continued, And I took the first shot on the day where I rolled the camera and I just touched it like this. And then camera went like this and framed. It was trees. And I said, wow, this I cannot film on my own. You know, this has happened. Then I again touched it and it went and created another frame, which also looked very startling for me. Then I took 2 more of those gentle taps and moved, and then the camera attendant, sir, he said, sir, camera is running, can I erase it and start again? I said, no, this is where I want to start. And so the film has that quality of you are already charged in a certain way because of watching this woman, and you are trying to figure out whether cinema as a making of any kind of film can lend itself to that kind of an expression, where the shot taking itself becomes a kind of a mode of expression. And that film is like that. And I'll show you a small excerpt from towards the end of the film. Especially after seeing Piravi, I felt like showing this. So this kind of filmmaking slowly generated this kind of new kind of shooting itself, where you can connect your emotions. And I could do it only when I make my own film. That is another issue. When I work with another director who has another concept in your mind, then it becomes more like a kind of a discussion and how to approach. But this became a kind of a pattern in my work where I would go full ahead in terms of expressing myself in whatever way I want to. And not necessarily in the same way, but different ways also. So it is where you use camera as an aspect of expression and you create a narrative based on that. Yeah, would you like to continue on this? And then I will get it. Yeah.
There would only I just want to kind of round up with a thought about the light and darkness, which is a favorite top subject of all cinematographers. Yesterday, Santosh was also talking about it. One of the small poems which I greatly like is of Rumi, where Rumi's 2 lines says, both light and shadow are the dance of love. And I think it is mostly expressed in cinema, and that makes cinema a very special art of our times. And not only that, I really think that the light itself is the primary life-giving subject. In fact, what we eat, whether it is cucumber or mutton, both are the energy collected from the photon light and stored in 2 different ways. So we all survive through light, as we consume the light actually, and we can almost say that we are children of light, because everything we eat is produced from light. And all the knowledge which we have about the universe is about the light. And that things about time, new studies are happening about time, which is also based on light. And light is the true key for our mystery of the world. And we have this art form which get into those issues deeply. Of course, I respect the entertainment value of cinema. I respect the economics of cinema industry. But there is a certain deeper sense in which film takes us beyond all that mundane things and looking at time and life. So I am greatly indebted to be a filmmaker to whoever, and that gives me such a wonderful journey in my life, and it taught me a lot, and I hope to continue working. And yes, we are all once starting a filmmaker, till the end we are filmmaker. Nothing else we can do. So I hope we do better in every step, and learning from the mistakes, which obviously there will be. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to continue the Jugalbandi, can I have a little bit of time? Yeah? Yeah, you have time, some time here. So this is the last clip. Okay, now we spoke about light, and yesterday when I was coming for this festival in the flight, there was a person who was sitting next to me, and I was watching one of those, well-made Netflix kind of a series, fiction series, and I thought that that mobile office was giving a very good display, and it was giving a very good image of those tonalities and colors and all those things that very painstakingly as cinematographer, DOP must have worked on. Very soft, very deep, very dark. Just elements of those, the light which is correct, and also a lot of huge sets and all that. So I was thinking that, that kind of work, which is a certain kind of approach to lighting and mastery of lighting, I want to show a small work, which is a recent work of mine, which I made with another friend who was making the film. Her name is Japna. It's a film on bhakti and giving. It's generalizing it. It's more about giving and bhakti. And this was not planned. This shot was not planned, but I took it with that idea. Let's watch it. It's also taking us back to when the cinema started. tonalities, in terms of working with light, and in terms of angle, and in terms of the darkness and the potency of it, and also very, very generous. In a way, I would say there's a very generous shot of the train, of the place where I could be standing, and also what the station qualified for me, at a very remote station in UP. So this is it was, even the train became a kind of a grace for me, this kind of a quality where it's so gentle and beautiful it was to accept it like that. So yeah, with that, I am also concluding my talk. Yeah, and then maybe we can open up for discussions here.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have two very small questions for R.V. Ramani, sir. First, how profitable is the business of documentaries? And the second one, as we all know, you are alumni of FTII. So the question is, what is the contribution of FTI in your achievements? And if you didn't get the FTI, where would you be in right now? Thank you.
Profitable, no? That's the question. Well, it is as profitable as living. Yeah. And if I was not in FTI, I would have done something else, I suppose. But very similar. Yeah, but the need to learn cinematography had started, and then I would have learned it anyway, if not FTI.
Sir, my question also is for Ramani sir. Like when we are trying to make a documentary, some things are happening throughout and actions are happening throughout. And as cinematographer, we try to follow. And do we need to keep in mind that the shot is going on lengthy for more than 2 minutes? And do we need to think like when to cut? Like the shot with the girl walking towards the road. And in the final, you came to a very classic composition of road coming towards the girl and she's looking across the camera. And how to like think before, it happens only at the last of the action. And in between, throughout you have filmed it. And as cinematographer, we know very little how it will land up in the final product. So about that, can you elaborate?
Yeah, there is no rule actually. You can plan a shot like you want to do this from here to here, but something more happens even while starting itself. Like this session, we planned, but it is not happening the way we wanted. It is surprising always too, and those are the moments I actually wait for actually, in my shooting. And when the shot ends, when the shot is still potent in its way, in its own, and so when it ends, it collapses. It says to you that it is over. But sometimes you don't cut because in today's filmmaking something more happen and you might miss the beginning. So that's also one of the reasons I don't cut most of the time. I keep it rolling. Sometimes you're also recording sound in your camera, and that soundtrack is so important that you can't cut there. So you have to think of both visuals and the soundtrack, and also the rhythm and the mise-en-scène of that shot. It can be a simple static shot, but still there is a mise-en-scène to it. Nothing happening can also be a mise-en-scène. So that you're just tuning yourself to that and the concept of the film. That somewhere you got, like I cannot shoot anything if I don't know the concept of the film, or if I don't sense the film. In my case it's always there. Otherwise, just shoot meaning I don't know how to shoot. But if I know that I'm connecting to, like in this grace, I know that we are working towards something about giving and accepting, and there you are seeking those possibilities. And that Face Like a Man also was something like that, where you are seeking a certain kind of imagery, and everything looks different when you enter that zone. When you are entering that zone of the concept, everything looks different. A dog will look different. A man making an omelette will look different. In that film, all that is there. So, they transform in your way of looking at them. And so your shot taking also will align itself to that new possibility, and that is the beautiful moment, when those things happen. So when you are in that mode, you will discover, you will know yourself that this is the beginning and this is the end. It's not such a kind of thing. You will know it by intuition also. Sorry.
Just a anecdote I just want to add to it. this is something happened, and this is the only thing I regret in my professional life. One incident of cutting the shot before this event happened. That was my mistake. This was, I was shooting a documentary, Sahaja, directed by Aravindan, G. Aravindan. This was a, the India exhibition in Moscow, and that film was made by FD, I think. And I was coming from a film set, Chanakat, one Malayalam film, where every day I was shooting like 200 shots. And this male actor was getting prepared. And looking at a mirror, the man was doing the makeup himself. And it was a 400 feet magazine. It's almost 3 minutes. It's running. I get very restless. And because of the previous 3 days ago, I was shooting 200 shots a day. So automatically, without thinking, I just cut it, And that moment, I could see why Aravindan was waiting. Because that transformation from his male persona to the female persona just happened with a smile. He looking at himself, but I lost that smile. I almost cried and touched Aravindan's feet and said, "Forgive me." But you cannot redo that take, So you have to wait for it sometimes and look for that kind of occurrences all the time. Once I was talking to great Raghu Roy, how he gets all this, still pictures, so great. And he said, don't be, fulfilled because of your first, second pictures. Be more greedy. Wait there. You have to wait. It can't be happening in one go. You have to wait and be with the subject, understand it, get it.
Raghu also said used the word in one of the, it's called blessing. There's an easy word he used, I don't know what the word was. He said it's a blessing, or some image you found, you realize, it's like a realization of something, comes like a blessing. Yeah, something else.
Yeah, hi. Hi. Thank you so much for your insights. I wanted to know, what is your relationship as cinematographers and as filmmakers to editors? Because often, when it's not your own film, an editor will determine the length of a shot and how much to breathe it and how much not to. So could you tell us a little bit about, if you have approached a film with a particular style or a sort of philosophical approach in mind, is it possible to convey that entirely to the editor? Have there been arguments, debates, conversations about this?
No, probably Remini, put the ball to me because, in fact, I joined the Film Institute as an editing student. Only in the last semester I shifted to be a cameraman because of Bhanumurthy sir. He took me to edit cinematography department and said, you do this. Anyway, of course, I always consider that a good editor will actually find the cinematographer. Because all the shots, when the director with his blocking is creating a rhythm within the shot, and that shot has to be discovered by the editor. So, in terms of, obviously that for an editor to work very effectively, the director and cinematographer already should have a blueprint in terms of your positioning and how the movements are getting organized and how is it following from one shot to the next shot, and obviously that will help the editor. And in that way, from my own experience of editing my work, my films, I do edit whichever I direct, and I always saw these two aspects, cinematography and editing, as somewhere related, and there's one cannot exist without the other. So there could be films without editing, but then of course there are inner rhythms which shifts within a shot, and a long take I am talking about. But there is also a rhythm shifts in many levels, and that also can be experienced because that comes with the cameraman itself, in the shot itself. There is no other editor. The choreography of the camera creates those rhythms. So, but anyway, these are, I think, complementary aspect of filmmaking.
I mean, to answer your question, I would say, if I edit the films that I shoot, it will be different. So that I know very well, and the cutting points will be different. But you accept that right in the beginning that it will be going through another perspectives and another perspective and all that. So you accept it and you watch it for that. And sometimes I do get called to look at a rough cut of the film, and I do make my comments, and things have changed after that. I noticed that also. But yeah, editor will look at the footage. For example, when I shoot, when I compose, for example, I bring the element of composition into the narrative, like which means, like if he's filming, and I want to make a film, composing. Now I'll take this camera and then I'll do this. Now I will usually use a shot from the point where the camera is switched on, and this moment I use in the narrative, this, and then this shot. Now I always work like that, so I give the glimpse of what it takes to compose that point, to arrive at the composition. I use it element. An editor will not do that. Editor will say, it moves here, now start the cut, now start the shot. So there are arguments in those areas with a lot of editors, but when I make my own films, I of course initiate that possibility that it is not gimmicky, or it is like, I don't like neatly framed. I would like to suggest that this is how I arrived at the shot. And it creates a certain kind of vocabulary, a kind of porosity, I would say, where it is not so concrete. Also in many of my own films, which I can't do with other films, is that I bring myself into the narrative very strongly. Through voice, through my presence, physical presence sometimes. And it is, or when people talk to me and I talk to them, and it's very clear that I am there talking to me, not to somebody who's questioning them. So it is, that element also I bring it into all my narratives very strongly. That becomes a huge thread that I walk through. So the framing and everything becomes different. It's like, it's difficult to frame when you're shooting and talking, looking at someone. It's very difficult, and so that difficulty I bring into the narrative. So those kind of things, so, but an editor will not use those small moments, jerky moments, because they say, nahi, either say short acha hai, either say udhar tak, which is also a certain logic, and that sometimes that surprises also. So yeah.
We have a certain kind of documentary that's very popular right now, this so-called independent documentary that you're talking about. It's heavily funded, all of them have written by in credits. It's a very slick kind of work. It's almost like fiction. And the lines between fiction and documentary are blurred. I don't think in ways that you have explained, but in other ways. What do you make of this new documentary beast? This is the beast that is winning awards, that gets recognized everywhere. Yeah, I think young filmmakers are being told your films should look like that and be structured like that. So what do you make of these, what do both of you make of these new kinds of documentaries that we are being told is the only way to watch documentary now?
No. Obviously there is all, that's what I said, Germany makes films not to those, current needs or fashions, Probably that is the ideal way of making a film, but then, if you are working in a true to your call and true to your ideas and belief systems, and then you are not concerned with what people are saying, other people are saying. And Ramani is one example. He, with his own money, he makes the film. It's, so he could do that. But if you are looking for a funding, every funder has one idea. So, or that will reflect in one of all our films. because there is one great, one of our common friend, Neelan. He says that cinema itself is an art of capital. So the capital from where it is coming is going to be reflected in it. So you are not completely possible to escape from that influence. So even like Santosh, again I come back to him because he talked so many nice things yesterday. He does his all commercial money making films to make his own films. There he doesn't have to look for a diktat of a producer. So how many of us can do that? Even in my last film, in fact, I didn't want to disturb any producer in the way I make film, and I know that it will not be suited to the current time. And but I had to make that film, so I put in my money and made that film. So next film, no, I have not yet got back this film, this money. But even with that, I don't regret it. And next film, of course, I am looking for a producer. So obviously, I will have to listen to him in certain way. There is no, one answer in all these different situations. That's what I think.
Okay. So this is a very challenging situation for me also. Just 2 days back I saw two days of films in MIF in Chennai. Then I came here, and I saw some 5-6 films, and this was the dominating thought in my mind that time also. I actually realized the notion of fiction in a documentary, which is taken as normal in all the Netflix or National Geographic kind of film, where you do whatever staging you want to do and still call it a big budget, almost like a feature film budget, and then you call it a documentary. So where is that coming from? And I actually realized in the last 2 days only that probably, suppose you have characters in your narrative and you're working on those characters, you can do whatever you want to do with those characters. You can tell them to sit, you can turn them, you can read them dialogues again and again, or you can rehearse some possible scenario of fiction or a theatre or something. Yesterday's one film was very much like a theatre. And everything you can do as long as they are your real characters. That means it's documentary. I think that seems to be the understanding. If you bring an actor, a trained professional actor, into that particular role, then it becomes fiction. So that looks like that, like National Geographic, that aircraft disasters and those kind of series. Somebody asked me to watch it, and it is based on real accidents and international accidents, plane accidents, and then hugely constructed narratives, and even the interviews looks like fiction and everything, rehearsed and all that. So, but that seems to be the trend. And in fact, today morning I was speaking to one of the famous filmmakers today morning, and he was saying that he's a documentary filmmaker, that he wants to make a feature film now. I'm tired of this documentary genre. And he said that he is, but he is looking for the same kind of narrative that what the international forum is demanding now, actually, through their examples, that you can bring strong storyline, write a storyline, incorporate it into your documentary with the same characters, and then it is still a documentary, and it can pass on, So this seems to be the trend. I would be happy to say that as long as a film works, it's okay by me, it doesn't matter. Like Mami, which is happening in Mumbai, the other festival, has freed itself from this notion. They could just call it a feature-length film, and it doesn't matter whether you made it this way or that way, incorporated actual footage or animation footage or whatever. It doesn't matter as long as it's a film, a feature-length. They don't call it documentary. Feature-length film. It can be great. My film was screened there, Banu, that recent film of mine. It was screened there, and there was another feature film before, another feature film after. It looked fantastic to me. I thought, like, wow, this is the way it should be. I can compete with any of these filmmakers, feature films made completely. It's possible to do that, and it's the way you can you do the way you want to. I mean, it's okay. I mean, let's break all these paradigms, you know. And yesterday's film I was talking about is based on a guy who was put in jail. It's a famous film for 39 years, and he comes out, he's innocent. And they use theatre, they use fiction, they use the character becoming a fiction character, they use the character becoming a documentary character. All possibilities was involved with it, and I actually enjoyed the film. By the end of it, initially I had some resistance to this approach, but at the end of it I thought, wow, I felt like that. Well done, you know, it's a huge theatre, huge theatre. Dialogues rewritten, you know, worked on, you know, good soundtrack, sync sound, all that. So people are doing it. It's like the funders want proof of a good film, which is writing, which is write the storyline. That is the proof. Like I was saying about the feature film thing. Tell me the narrative. If I can imagine a possibility while you're reading it, I'll fund you. I'll put my money, you know, because I want to put the money. So that's how it. Documentary is also saying that you write your script. I have not written a script till now. I've written a concept note, I've written a treatment possibilities, those things are written, but I don't know the film. I can sense a film. But that is not possible when you're asking for a funder. So they want a storyline. It starts where it ends here. These are the moments of key moments and 5 points and all that. So that seems to be the, if you want to rely on that, if you're going to completely escape it, then it's okay. Let's continue. Yeah.
I think there is a signal, time is overstretched. Yeah. So we will be closing here.
Yeah.
And probably, I don't know, while we were discussing, isn't it started from Nanook of the North? That this kind of stories, yeah. Fiction. So we end there. There is endless possibilities in cinema. I hope we all experiment with that. And my only complaint about young people is that they don't make enough experimental films. They should make a lot of experimental films, which is kind of new, very new. Thank you all.